Of SCL Inside Racing. This is the first broadcast we've done from the PS4 as we're making the switch from Gran Turismo. We are sitting here in the menu here on Project Cars. We're of course planning on jumping to Project Cars 2 in the fall, and we're doing some tech testing. Also holding our very first event here, the Willow Springs Trans Am on Saturday. This is Carlin Hicks. I'm joined by Twindy, the season 21 and defending IndyCar champion. Say hi, Twindy.
Hey guys.
All right, we're here to just do a little short edition here as we're getting our broadcast, doing some tech testing for broadcasts, working out the bugs here, and also want to give you guys who are waiting to make the jump over here so we can continue our racing. We're hoping to get you guys over here pretty soon. Want to give you something to look at, show you what we've been up to as we're building up the community over here. The anticipation for Project Cars 2 is fairly big. We've had, in a matter of days, we've built up, zeroing in on 100 members in the SCL community already. Many of them are new. So once we get a flood of our old guys in from Gran Turismo 6, it's going to be even better. SCL is an online e-racing league, folks. We've completed 21 championship seasons over the last 7 years, and we're looking to launch season 22 in the fall. I'm going to give you guys a look at what they got here. We are going to be at the familiar Willow Springs International Raceway this weekend, so that's the track that we're currently holding SCL sessions at. I'll give you guys a look at some of the many they have on here. The Horse Thief Mile here at Willow Springs is something interesting for the club level cars. We will probably do something with that in the future for SCL special events. We got the layouts of Watkins Glen, several of our other domestic races. Road America is looking to be on our IndyCar and Camel GT Series. All these different tracks we've run in the past, such as Laguna Seca. We are focused on the domestic North American vintage racing here in SCL, so we definitely will have a lot of these tracks in here. Willow Springs, one that we're familiar with, of course. We've run the Winston Western 200 and the Winston Cup Series there for about the last 10 seasons, and also for the Indy cars and the other series. Twindy has been out there. You want to kind of give the guys a description, Twindy? What do you think the biggest difference is between this version of Willow Springs and the version that we run on in SCL on GT6s?
So the sand is definitely a lot more forgiving, and the kind of think the pavement is a little bit slicker. You can feel the fact that it's in the desert, it's a little bit dirtier. But I mean, it handles similar. Other than that, it's just a little bit slicker.
Yeah, I would agree with you. It's a very similar setup. It's a little, like you said, the sand is more forgiving. You can put a wheel off and it won't send you around. It'll just slow you up. That's not to say it's not a treacherous track. Calamity Corner, Right Turn Ridge, Wheel Hop Ridge. Those are all they all have the same characteristics. That in the heavy-bodied stock cars, needing to burp the throttle as you hop over wheel hop ridge is very important, so that you don't get wheel spin and shoot you off the track. So yes, it's very similar, no doubt, and but a little bit different. Willow Springs is definitely a track we'll continue going to. Whether or not it will be on the main schedules, we're not sure, but it's definitely a destination that we'll at least have special events at. And I'll show you guys some of the cars here. Obviously some of the GT3 cars, some of the prototypes that may or may not make up the Camel GT Series, are a good old Catherham 7 that we run. We've run in the Valvoline runoffs is on here. This right here, folks, is the Dallara DW12 IndyCar. It will be in Project Cars 2. It is, definitely, we've had the premier IndyCar Series in console racing for a long time, and we plan on doing it over here as well. This car, take a look at the spec info on it, as it says their top speed at 232. 1598 in weight is roughly 600 and something kilograms. That power to weight ratio, therefore, is very similar to the car we've run for a long time in the IndyCar Series. It handles like a dream naturally, but it can be very treacherous, no doubt, if you're not careful. The Ford Cobra Mustang Trans Am here. This is a 1997 series Trans Am car. We're looking to do something with the Trans Am series. Much like Camel GT Series draws a lot of IndyCar drivers as a road racing series because it's sports car racing. We figured the Trans Am series will be very popular with the Winston Cup crowd. And these cars handle very similar to a Winston Cup car. They are a little bit more downforce, as you can see with the back deck on these things, but when you look at the specs on them, no doubt 214 miles an hour. 2799 is lighter in poundage than a Winston Cup car. That's the main difference. It's a little bit quicker. It's not dissimilar to running one of the when we used to run the Corvette Z06. I would say that's probably the most similar to the cars that we've run. It's got a little bit of a rear weight differential in it. That's probably the biggest difference. Couple of quick looks at the other cars that we have out here. This is the modern Ford Fusion stock car that we may or may not be using for our Winston Cup car. There's, of course, with our focus on vintage, there's a lot of guys who are looking more into the vintage stock car, which I need to find on here. Where is it at on this list here? The Caper Monterey stock car right there. That's the vintage. It's about a 1990. That to me it looks like a 1990 Monte Carlo from NASCAR. As you can see, it actually has terrific amount of power. 230 miles an hour in a straight line. You're not going to get that, obviously. Maybe when we get to the Daytona track, you might push faster than that. It's 650 horsepower, 3,700 pounds. That is pretty much what we have with the Winston Cup car that we run now. It's not a whole lot different than the Winston Cup car from season 21. So, knowing our proclivity for vintage racing, I would say that that might be our lead car for the Winston Cup Series, although the possibility of running it as a late model and using the modern one for the Cup Series is also there. You've driven all these cars, Twin. Do you have any comment on those?
They as soon as you get used to them, they're not that good. They're a lot of the guys that raced them on GT6 should have, take a couple laps, but they should get used to it pretty quick. They handle pretty good. Just cold tires, very treacherous, but
I would agree with you there 100%. That's one of the big improvements here on PS4 is the way that the cold tires work, and we dealt with that obviously on GT6 as well, but here you really feel it for those first lap or two out. There's a phenomenon, particularly in IndyCar racing, where you don't want a short pit because the fall off on the tires isn't as much, and you lose time on the cold lap while you're coming out, and then the other guy stays out a couple laps on warm tires. That's in marked difference to the mechanics we've dealt with in SCL racing for a long time. And if that indeed proves to be how it works on project cars too, then we're going to have a little bit of a difference in strategy. But I would agree with you there. Getting the tires warm is vitally important on in those cars. But I'm going to go ahead and which car you want to take around the track here for him real quick, Dwindy?
Probably not the Trans Am car or the stock car. Maybe one of the Formula cars or a GT3 car.
How about you take the Indy car out?
I can't do that.
You don't have the Indy car? Okay, he doesn't have the IndyCar. All right, let's go ahead and let's roll out the. Why not roll out the Indy Lights car, Formula C?
Okay.
All right, we ran a exhibition sprints last weekend, guys, using this car here on the screen, the Formula C, as the Indy Lights. As you can see by the specs, it's at top speed of 196 is of course a little misleading. That's assuming you're on like one of the point-to-point circuits and you got like a 2-mile straightaway. Yeah, this car tended to top out. We were running it at Watkins Glen last week. It was tending to top out in the 160s before you had to make a turn. Excellent approximation of the old Support Series SCL Indy Lights car. A little bit of push in it that the Indy car doesn't have. The weight's a little different, a little bit less, I would say less downforce is what it feels like, but ultimately it worked out to be a pretty good ride. We're going to let Twindy ride around here in it for you guys. I'm going to set up the room for him. And we'll get the, we'll go ahead and invite Twindy here into the room. You guys getting to see how some of this works. There's Twindy. He's going to get out there in the Formula C, and I'm going to figure out how to ride along and ride on board with him. This is kind of a test broadcast here of Inside SCL Racing. We haven't had an Inside SCL Racing broadcast since before season 21. We're hoping to do it on a more regular basis now that the technology is going to be better here on PS4. As you see, there's Old Willow, site of some of the greatest and craziest races in SCL history. As I said, we've been coming here a long time, 10 seasons over about the last 3.5, 4 years. And certainly on Gran Turismo 6, no bigger prize at this track anywhere than the Winston Western 200. This is when you're in the lobby here. Twindy's getting out on the track, trying to get here in the lobby. As you guys can see, there's some definite work on the interface needs to be done, and likely will be done. I meant to make this tuning prohibited, but this is just a demonstration room, so it shouldn't be a problem.
Go, go, go!
Alright, there we go. Got me on the monitor. And I'm on board with Twindy. Twindy's on his controller, folks. This is the defending IndyCar Series champion, believe it or not, by those jerky movements. As you see here, he's coming up to right turn ridge here. It's very similar, a little bit, it seems a little wider to you, I guess, than on the GT6 version, but this is, you got to take this the same way. He's just warming his tires up. He's playing it smart here on the out lap. That is absolutely what what you need to be doing on this track. Get a little look at his wheels and variety of things on there, but here of course is Calamity Corner. He's going to be able to go full blast in these cars. These are Indy Lights, the Formula C, but it's very similar. As you can see, the lighting's different. The track is slicker. It's right around a noontime session, so the track is at its hottest probably. But a very similar line here. You can go inside and try to clip it a little here and ride it out, or you can take it wide to the outside and have to burp it a little bit later in the turn, but either one of them can be made fast. As you can see, Twindy's firing up, pushing in the 7,000 RPM range. He would probably get more out of that on his wheel. for being slicker in the turns there. The power and torque there in the upper right corner is telling you how much of it's getting used at any given time, and he's maxing it out, hitting in the 140s. You can get faster on a longer straightaway in these cars. But as you can see, that's our old familiar Willow Springs, and just a little bit more detail on this side. I think our GT6 guys will notice a difference in handling on this game, but really it's been pretty good since I've been over here testing, and Twindy and some of the other SCL drivers. Definitely worthwhile. As Twindy rides it up in the fence, and we got to call the infield care center and get them ready. But as you can see, definitely, I'll give you all a few more different camera angles here. But yeah, definitely an improvement in terms of graphics. Those of you worried about the handling not being up to polyphony standards, I don't think that's an issue. It's a little different, but it's definitely not an arcadey type of handling, especially when you put on the realistic handling on a spec car. It definitely is something that we're used to. And as far as what Project Cars 2 is providing, they're providing the traditional things that we have run in SCL, whereas polyphony's going in their more international FIA direction. But definitely looking good out there. I'm gonna put myself here into the pits. As soon as I figure out how to manipulate my head back into the lobby. It was about 3 or 4 seconds off of that we would get, in a sizable practice session. But yeah, folks, this is that should just about do it for us here. We are going to have a race on Saturday, the Willow Springs Trans Am, using those Trans Am Series cars, a 100-mile race. Probably have a few of the regulars out, but a whole lot of new guys. There's been a very lot of buzz for something like what SCL does over here. So make sure you guys find SCL Racing Network in the PlayStation 4 PSN communities. Our website, of course, sundaycupleague.wix.com/SCRN for all of our official information, rules, and data. And for any other information, obviously, that you need. Twindy, you got any final thoughts here? Oh yeah, absolutely. I agree with you there. We don't have a lot of our core, even team owners and regulars. They are on the way. We've seen a handful of our regular guys over here already. We've picked up a couple of new guys who are very excited, obviously, after seeing what SCL's been doing for 21 seasons and 7 years. And they're excited to see how we do things with the Winston Cup Series, Camel GT, IndyCars, and all that. And definitely we're going to be continuing to hold special events and exhibitions. And then in September, when Project Cars 2 drops, we'll be on there. We'll hope to have as many of our regulars as we can and continue our place, up near the top of certainly console online sim racing. And that should just about do it for us here on Inside SCL Racing. We'll catch you guys. We'll hopefully have another broadcast here on Saturday before the Willow Springs Trans Am, and might even bring you some coverage of the race itself, as Twindy might be the producer for that broadcast. And so you guys catch us Saturday night or on the YouTube channel and on the re-airs in the archive. And so for season 21 IndyCar champion Twindy, this is Carlin saying good night.